Well, I got taken. I got completely fooled. I got completely fooled by an amateur card magician. That's right. In this video, we're going to be talking about Luke Jermay's You're Only Lying to Yourself. This is 15 tricks with over 4 hours of downloaded explanations. If you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you know that this is extremely rare for me to be reviewing a download. And this is where I would refer back to what I said at the beginning, that I was fooled in more than one way. When I saw that this was released, I was extremely excited because Luke Jermay is one of my favorite magical creators. As a performing mentalist, I think that the material and thinking that he puts out is second to none. Anyway, as soon as I saw that he had a new book out, I thought, this is great, because I already shared some of my reflections in a previous video that I was slightly disappointed with his previous book release, 3510. With Vanishing Inc. behind this one, I thought that this would be a sure winner. And it is, but there are some things that I think you should know. Before we get into the meat of this video, I want to talk to you about our sponsor, Don's Magic and Books, and thank him for offering 10% off this week if you use the code AUGUST at checkout. So if you're interested in purchasing Luke Jermay's latest work, you can get it straight from Don for 10% off the lowest marked price on the website. With a retail price of just $45, you could actually get this from Don for slightly over $40, and if you're in the United States, you'll qualify for a full refund of your shipping charges. But beyond the latest and greatest like this book, you can also get older out-of-print books from Don, and he just announced that he's acquiring another library, so you'll want to be sure to check the website often, because he's going to be putting books out on his site that are hard to find, out of print, one of a kind, and you'll want to get them before they're completely gone. Don has tremendous customer service and great prices, so be sure to shop this week at donsmagicandbooks.com. Don't forget to use that code AUGUST and save 10%. Let's tell you a little bit about why you might want to know more about this book. The first thing that I want you to know about this is that it's not really a book. In fact, the first thing that I thought of when I received it is they must have accidentally shrunk the book. That's right, the book would fit essentially in the palm of my hand.
It works. Diane, I got something real important to tell you.
So while it's advertised as a hardback book, that's technically correct. It's more of a mini coffee table book than anything else, because they don't teach you anything in the book. It's just kind of a history or commentary from Luke Jermay about each one of the tricks. Candidly, I was a little disappointed by that, and frankly, I don't even know what the purpose of this book is. Anyway, enough with the negativity. Since I did get this, I still want to take the time to review it and tell you what I did like about this material. If you're not already familiar with Luke Jermay, let me make a brief introduction, because as I said before, he's one of my favorite creators in the magic sphere. Although, as he tells you in these videos, he got started, as many of us did, with a love and passion for card magic.
I am Luke Jermay, and I am addicted to card tricks.
Interestingly enough, this passion has continued, and it's still what Luke Jermay enjoys doing when he's not performing professionally as a mentalist.
I love card magic and I love card tricks.
I find myself to be in a similar situation. I love learning and performing mentalism, but card magic is just one of those things that grips you and never lets you go.
For those of you who know me as a mentalist, this project might come as a surprise.
So Luke continued his journey of 15 different tricks that he thoroughly enjoys performing, whether or not they're commercial items performed for a paying audience, or if you're just hanging around the pub with a few of your friends wanting to perform some card tricks.
It's my hobby. I want it to be great fun. Fun for you to do and explore.
In fact, I thought it was interesting that Luke Jermay talks about releasing these items as an amateur card magician.
I am an amateur card magician. I consider myself to be a hobbyist card magician.
So these are not items he claims to perform for paying audiences. But that doesn't change the fact that I thought that there was a lot of good material in here. There are all kinds of different classic plots.
All of them are fun, easy, and direct pieces of magic.
There are items with finding chosen cards, there are predictions, his version of Out of This World, some color sensing plots where you're able to tell from the bottom of a stack of cards whether a card is red or black.
I can see with my fingers that that card is black.
Poker deals, gambling routines, etc. There's all kinds of stuff in here for anyone who likes card magic.
It's even a version of the ambitious Carls.
The subtext behind all of the card magic in this set from Luke Jermay is balancing the scale between tension and expression.
Tension and relaxation and expression.
He's tried to come up with methods and plots that keep you from being tense at exactly the wrong moment. Too many magicians show tension right when the dirty work is being done. And whether or not your audiences can see the sleights that you're performing, there's something in the back of their mind that triggers emotionally that something was wrong with that moment. There was too much tension for what was seemingly happening. For example, you're turning over a card, but there's an intense amount of concentration. All of the items are relatively easy to do because Luke Jermay is not a professional card guy, even though he certainly seems to have chops based on what I saw in the videos. He wants to ensure that this is material you can enjoy performing. So put aside the concern over knuckle-busting sleight of hand and instead concentrate more on the presentation and just having fun with your participants.
None of it is particularly difficult to perform.
That means that many of these items will use specially prepared decks. In fact, at the very outset of the explanations, Luke Jermay will let you know that he's going to use whatever it takes, and he has certain standard gaffes, gimmicks, or setups that he uses with a deck of cards. Now, while many of the techniques and tricks can be performed from a shuffled deck in use and don't require a stack, there are a number of items that will require a Svengali type short and long deck. You'll have to mark cards, make some homemade gimmicks, nothing extensive or difficult, or otherwise prepare your deck for these performances. If you're a professional walk-around magician, he'll tell you up front, most of these items are not going to be for that instant reset environment in which you find yourself.
I don't have to worry about things instantly resetting because I'm not performing these tricks one table after the next.
But if you're a casual performer who just likes to play around with some interesting card sleights and tricks, then there's a lot of cool stuff here. In terms of the sleights required, Luke Jermay is pretty big on using the cull and has a section where he talks about how underrated it is as a sleight of hand tool. He goes through some simple explanations of the culls that he uses and points you towards some resources, a la the work of Harapan Ong, Kostya Kimlet, and Roberto Giobbi from Card College. If you're comfortable with some relatively simple sleights like that, controlling cards, double lifts, false shuffles, then you're going to have everything it takes to perform most of the items in this little booklet and download. While I was watching the videos, I was reminded of why I prefer magic in the written word as opposed to video. I had to turn up the speed of watching Luke Jermay talk because with 4 hours of information, that's a lot of really great material, but it's just so different consuming that material as a video instead of in the written form where I can consume it at my own pace. Not to mention, you really can't do anything else while you're watching a video. If you have a book, you can take that to the gym. You can be sitting there in front of the TV. Now, those aren't recommended study places, but books are just so much more flexible in terms of where you can consume them, to my way of thinking. Plus, it's just a lot more direct. You can skip quickly to the parts that you need to know to perform these tricks. So I would have loved to have seen a lot of this written up. I think I understand why it wasn't, because it is simpler to just talk through what you're doing as opposed to writing it down.
It only sounds confusing when you try and explain it verbally, whereas if you look at it in front of you, it sort of makes sense instantly.
But I can't help feeling slightly disappointed that this material was not actually a book, even though it's advertised as a download with a book. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that Vanishing Inc. was deceptive in any way. I don't really know what I thought the book and download combo was going to be. Vanishing Inc. was very clear that this was just a small booklet with some history and commentary on the tricks, and that's exactly what it is. I was just kind of shocked by exactly how small it is. The other thing that I'll point out, without going through every trick, is that some of these tricks I didn't think would work very well for those intimate environments. For example, there's a trick that uses the tossed out deck principle. I don't want to go further and give anything away, but if you do anything like that, you know that doesn't play well for 3 family members sitting around your kitchen table. You're going to need a larger audience of maybe some strangers, which felt out of place with what Luke said this was, that this material was not stuff that he performs for paying audiences, but rather card material that he simply enjoys doing.
So consequently, we're going to talk about which environment each trick was designed to be performed in.
So I think there is a mix of the two. I assume that he does perform some card tricks, and maybe this material does go in his professional act.
My job is to be a mind reader, but what I do off stage is often card tricks.
Be aware that not everything he teaches will be performable for those super intimate gatherings, although the vast majority, that's the best place to use it. Overall, I think this is relatively reasonable value, although I will caveat it by saying that I'm far more familiar with the cost of books and what you're getting for value in there. So this video download scene is relatively new to me. So sound off down below with what you think. If you're more familiar with video downloads, how did you feel about these 15 routines for $45 or just a little over $40 if you order from Don this week using code August? As always, my friends, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, keep reading.